The Batman Arkham series is finally coming to the Switch, and although this should be a time for rejoice, it's met with graphical issues that would make Mr. Freeze jump with joy at just how often the frames lock up and freeze during combat. Hello and welcome to Switch Scheme. Today I'm looking at the Batman Trilogy on the Nintendo Switch. If you enjoy the content, consider dropping a like and sub. What was your favorite Batman game? Mine personally was The Adventures of Batman and Robin on the Super Nintendo. If you want information on the Switch Scheme monthly giveaway, check out the video in the description. With that being said, let's take a look at the Batman Trilogy for the Nintendo Switch. The story of these games is pretty solid. The first game sees Batman capture the Joker as he often does and takes him to the Arkham Asylum. This was for a reason, however, as the Joker needs access to a specific prisoner to enact his master plan. The usual gang shows up to fight Batman with their own side schemes, and Batman will encounter the likes of Croc, Scarecrow, Poison Ivy, and more. Can Batman stop the Joker before his master plan takes on titan levels of consequences? Well, you'll find out in Arkham Asylum. The second game, Arkham City, has Batman. He's been outed to the world as Bruce Wayne by Hugo Strange. He's imprisoned into the central part of what's now known as Arkham City, which has basically become a quarantine zone. This is allowing criminals and the like to run freely so long as they stay segregated from the rest of the populace. Batman has to look for unlikely assistance in Dr. Freeze, and with his help, Batman not only needs to battle his enemies in the city, but find the cure for himself. The third game, Arkham Knight, which is the final one in this collection, has Batman confronted by my personal favorite Batman villain, besides the Joker of course, Scarecrow. Scarecrow has forced the entire civilian population to evacuate Gotham before he employs his newest toxin into the city. Through nightmare scenarios and the return of a long-thought-dead villain, Batman must reach out to new allies to confront the horrors that the Scarecrow has in store for them. All in all, these are Batman plots, plain and simple. They tell an ongoing narrative, which is really cool, and for me, knowing how goofy and campy comic book stories are supposed to be, I find little fault here. Some things make little sense, but I mean, it's a fantastical world, so you have to suspend some disbelief in order to immerse yourself into the story. For me, the story scores high, especially considering that all three tell a single narrative. The gameplay of Batman Arkham Trilogy is similar throughout each title, and this is a positive, until you hit Arkham Knight, which I'll discuss in a minute. The combat of the Batman series pioneered third-person action-reaction gameplay. You're given a short window of opportunity to react to incoming attacks. Similar uses of this were in Lord of the Rings, the Mordor series, and the Spider-Man series, where personally it makes the most sense because Spidey Sense or Peter Tingle is a real thing. That being said, it's the same gameplay that received praise and awards back in the day, so it's great here as expected. You'll punch and kick and use gadgets to get your way around the city, complete your objectives, and fight the bosses. The bosses, especially Mr. Freeze, are memorable and fantastic, and the collectibles are going to keep you busy the entire way. But, and this is a big but, the performance on the Switch almost completely derails this entire review. The gameplay hiccups quite a bit under stress, especially in Arkham Knight, where the controversial Batmobile sections take up a huge portion of the gameplay, and the fast-paced movements cause the system to struggle. I know a lot of people will rush to accuse the Switch, which is an aging system, but let's take a look at a game that came out a year after Arkham Knight. Doom. Doom from Bethesda was ported over, and it works perfectly fine. It's a newer game than all three Batmans, and it's just as if not more, fast-paced. So the question is, what happened? I can only assume that there was some shortcuts in regards to optimization in order to hit that holiday release schedule. Hopefully a patch comes out that smooths it all out, which would make things perfect, but it is frustrating trying to battle thugs or a boss just to have the indicator pop up for a block or dodge, and then the system lags, causing you to miss that window, get hit, or die. It was an extremely annoying situation to deal with, and I'll link a great video by Nintendo Life for you to watch in the comments or description. They really showcase how well, or not, the lag can affect things and did a great job at capturing it better than I could. The music in these games is decent. It's not my favorite rendition of Batman, but as a video game it suits the atmosphere and combat well. A couple standouts for me were the Carol of the Bells remix for the Joker, and the main theme from Arkham City, which are a couple favorites of mine. The sound is good and I didn't have much issue. However, the almost stock sound effect of a punch and a kick gets excessive over time after the 1000th punch into a thug's face, so keep that in mind. The music and sound score mid to high for me personally. The value for your dollar is where things are going to take another turn. I hate download-only games. I despise the idea that one day I could lose access to it when I paid for it. I know there are people on both sides for and against it, and I just stand where I stand. The physical edition comes with Arkham Asylum on the cart, and City and Night requiring to be downloaded. The good news is that Arkham Asylum is a great game, and having it permanently on the cart is nice. But if and when the store closes in the future, those other games may not be accessible. Look, the Switch is at the end of its life cycle. We all know it. The rumors of the next system brew daily, and I think we all expect the next iteration to be announced next year. Normally, the eShop for older systems stays up for a couple years as they try and continue sales of software as users transition to the new system. But once that happens, then what? Now, I know Nintendo has released statements stating that they intend to make the transition easy in order to get your eShop sales from one system to the next, which may make this all a moot point, but the fact remains, I love my physical games, and I hope someone, like let's say Limited Run Games, does a physical edition for each of the three. I would actually buy them individually in order to have them all on hand. As for the game itself, yes, the value is absolutely there. These are fantastic games, and you get 3 of them for the AAA price of 1. And each game can last hours upon hours depending on whether or not you want to engage in all the collectibles like the Riddler's doodads. That being said though, the lag in performance may frustrate you into just turning it off, which may result in a wasted investment. Overall, the Batman Trilogy on the Switch is a disappointment for me. Now let's be clear, this is not all the fault of Rocksteady, rather the company who actually handled the port. There is an argument to be said that Rocksteady should have at least made sure their game was properly prepped, as it is their name, but it is what it is. It is a superb collection, and honestly I would love nothing more than to recommend it highly, but the performance just hinders it. It's playable, technically, but it's beyond irritating that this even got released. Clearly it was pumped out early for the holidays, but my goodness, graphically more intense games run better on the Switch than this. The combat was genre bending. The music is modern Batman, and the value, depending on your opinion of digital releases, is all great, but the performance keeps me from recommending this for now. Hopefully it gets fixed, but until then, I would just wait.